Hi, everyone. I'm going to teach you 3 different ways of using commas today. And they're all about how to use a comma when you start your sentences off in a variety of ways. So I'm going to create these sentences on a Google Doc, and then you're going to practice the same skill after I do each example. So I hope this helps you understand how to use commas. This is just 3 ways to use commas. It's not every single way to use commas, but I feel like doing this will help you become better writers and help you vary your sentence structure. So let's begin. How many of you have ever sat there and go, how do I sit there and begin a sentence? Well, there are 3 different ways you can begin a sentence to give you some variation. You can use an introductory phrase, you can use an introductory clause, or you can introduce the sentence with some kind of adverb. So the first thing I'm going to do is introduce it with some kind of adverb. For example, let me get this left justified there. However, the boy protested against the bill. Notice here, I'm going to highlight this for you, where it says, however. Well, however is an introductory, it's called a conjunctive adverb, and that's its technical name. And here, the reason you set it off with a comma is because it kind of introduces the thought, but it isn't. It needs to be separated, if you will, from the rest of the sentence. And that is your transition word, if you will. So whenever you have a single transition word like however or moreover, then you have that opportunity to set that off with a comma, and that's a different one of a variety of ways to vary your sentence structure. Another way, well, before I do that, now I'm going to give you the opportunity to create your example. So now create your example. I'm sure you did an awesome job of doing that. So here is the second way that you can use an introductory phrase to begin a sentence. Here I put in the forest, Little Red Riding Hood skipped her way to the grandmother's house. I think little is actually part of her name, isn't it? So let me go back here and make that capital L, because I like, okay. Sorry, this is my computer is not exactly working with me here. So here we have an introductory phrase. It's an introductory prepositional phrase. In the forest. In the forest. And anytime you have an introductory phrase like that, or yes, an introductory phrase like that, you set it off with commas. It actually kind of describes where Little Red Riding Hood is. Excuse me. So that's why you will set that off with the comma. It's like, it introduces the idea. It's a great transition, but once again, it needs to be set off with that comma. It introduces the idea, but it's not the full idea. Now it's your opportunity to create a sentence like this one. Choose some kind of introductory prepositional phrase, and it will give you practice on how to create sentences using an introductory phrase, and make sure that you put the comma after the end of the phrase. Another kind of phrase that you can use is a participial phrase that describes your subject. Giving alms to the poor. I guess it helps I type correctly. To the poor, Mother Teresa went among the people to give them hope. Here, your introductory phrase is actually a participial phrase, giving alms to the poor. Who is that describing? It's describing Mother Teresa. So since it's starting off our sentence, but it is not serving as our subject, we have to set that off with a comma. It actually describes Mother Teresa here. Giving alms to the poor, Mother Teresa went among the people to give them hope. That's another way you can introduce your sentences. These are not the only ways, as I said, but this is a different kind of phrase that you can use to use as a transition to open a sentence. And now I'm going to give you an opportunity once again to create a sentence of your own. And I'll put a reminder out here for you guys so that you remember which is which. And hopefully that helps you. Now, you would not use a gerund phrase and put a comma after it because the gerund will most likely serve as the subject of your sentence. So that is one phrase that will not count here. And I hope that you remember what gerunds are based on a previous discussion that we've had in class. The final way that I'm going to show you how to begin a sentence today, and you'll use a comma to set it off, is using the subordinate clause. Because Johnny was hungry, he decided to go get some food. Now here, you have because Johnny was hungry. Now, as you can see, if I just left that as a sentence, because Johnny was hungry, we're missing some information. We can't possibly leave that as a sentence. But since it comes at the beginning of the sentence, acting once again as a transitional idea to connect two sentences, you have to set that off with the comma, okay? Whether you're using the conjunctive adverb, you're using the prepositional phrase, the participle phrase, or you're using the subordinate clause, you have to set those beginning ideas off with the comma. It's kind of like that's your moment of breathing. So I've come to the end of my time. I have about 22 seconds left to record this video. So just remember, this is for beginning with a clause. And thank you.